Hello there.
Hi there.
We are Peter and Bart from Elastic Email, and we will be your guides in our series of developer tutorials for our API. We will show you in next few meetings how to use our API, how to connect it with your application, and how to basically do stuff with us. We'll start today with the most basic stuff, so it will be sending emails. But before that, maybe we should say something more about ourselves. Peter?
Yes. I'm Peter. I'm working on backend. Bart is here working on front end. We've been working with Elastic Email for quite a few years now. Elastic Email is a company that's been sending transactional and marketing emails since 2010. And yeah, we're going to show you our API implementation. So stick with us if you want to learn more.
And first of all, we're really happy to have you right now because we want to show you some things that are kind of basic, but from here we will skyrocket to really great things. But not today. What we will be focusing for today? Well, those are the thing we will be talking about is the API request. We'll start with basics, how it looks like, how it behaves, and what can you receive while sending such request. We will show you the practice for that, and we will focus on the basic stuff for us. So it would be sending an email. Also, we'll check some email status and show you that sending email is not as simple as it looks because it has a lot of great options. As the last thing, we will have some Q&A. If you have any questions during this tutorial, just write them down on chat. For this tutorial, for the sake of this tutorial, you will need some localhost with Apache because we will be using PHP today. So LAMP, XAMPP, or WAMP would be great. It would be great if you have some IDE. Even Notepad++ is great for that. And of course, Elastic Email account, because we will be using API key, which is a basic credential for your account. And those things would be all that you'll need today. So let's start. I think we can start with showing you a bit of our documentation and the idea of API requests with our code. So basically, the thing you need is your API key. So maybe we should start with that. What to do to receive it? You just go to your Elastic Email account, log in, then go to settings. And here you have a tab called SMTP API. Some of you may notice that you don't have an API key here. You will have a button that asks you to confirm that you will be using your API key in a good way. So confirm it. And then you will receive your most basic credential. API key is the crucial part of doing anything with our API because it you basically use it for everything. So if you want to send an email, you use API key. You want to check something, you use API key. Super important thing is you shouldn't be hard coding it or writing it as a plain text in some variable that is public to everyone.
For sure.
Because it's asking for troubles. I think you have your API key now, so we can basically click here to copy it, and for a moment, let's store it somewhere safe. And let's go back to our documentation. Our documentation is under the link api.elasticemail.com/public/help, but you don't have to write it down. You have a link for that in a chat. And those who are watching us in the future, you'll have it in a description. So you'll have anything from us there. Our documentation is a basic resource you'll need for API requests because it contains all the methods you'll need. So maybe we'll stick a bit more to the idea of request. It's an HTTP request. So basically it's using GET, sometimes POST. It always contains 3 parts. It's base URL. In this case, it's api.elasticemail.com. Then is the path to the action you want to do. It's the V2 because it's the second version of the API, category of actions, and then name of the action. And the third part are the parameters. So one is required like 99% of time, so it's the API key, and other parameters depend on the request you are going to send. Having that, we'll stick to something really fast and really simple. So we'll check if a specific contact in our account, if it exists and what are the data connected with it. So it would be the contact category and load contact action. As you can see, there are 2 parameters here. It's the API key and email address of the contact, and then there are both of them are required. So without them, you won't send us anything. And here you have information what you should receive. As you can see, and this is the rule, we are sending back JSON. It's always have a flag. It's success flag. It's true or false. Whenever it's true, you'll possibly getting additional data connected with the request. And if it's false, you'll get an error message. So it's super important for you if you want to use our API for your application to always check the success state. And for that, at this moment, we don't have such contacts, so we'll add it, but we'll do it in a really quick way. We'll do it from the dashboard. So again, please log into your account if you haven't done that previously. Go to contacts, then manage contacts and quick add. And for the sake of this tutorial, we'll add our own email address here. And let's add first and last name and legal consent. It's super important that you'll send your emails to people who want to receive them. And then we can add our contact. It was added successfully, so we can basically go out of this screen and go back to our documentation. Each API method has an example, so you don't have to create it by yourself, and then we can use this example for our own purposes. So let's change the example email to the one we added. And the second parameter, API key. We can switch it here. We're using Visual Studio Code for that, but you can use like anything you want. And we will fire it in our browser with the network already shown up, because it will show us more data. I forgot to record. So here we have it. Success true.
All right.
And data. It's information about the single contact here. So our contact is tutorials@elasticemail.com. We have added a first name there, and there's a lot of different data. But it is not important for us right now, because we only wanted to show you that it, well, works. But what if it doesn't work? Let's check how it would look like with our when something went wrong. So we've changed the email address, and this time we're not that successful because success is false and error could not find contact. That's true, we don't have it. And what will happen when we change the API key? Again, nothing good happened, but error has changed. So it's important to check an error when you are sending API requests. And that was basic stuff. Now Peter will show you some advanced usage, and for that we will be using the action we are the best at. So we'll be sending emails. So Peter.
All right, thank you. So we decided to show you today a simple way to send an email with us, because we know that that's why you are here. So we are going to send an email. So let's choose an email category and then the send method. Here you can read all the basics, like we suggest to use the HTTP post method, as it can contain much more data than the simple get method. You can also see that our default maximum size of a request is 10 megabytes. If you are a person that needs more megabytes per request, like you want to send heavy attachments, you can contact us, or we can maximize it up to 20 megabytes. But that's a more advanced stuff. Let's see the parameters. As Bartek said, we have API key that is, of course, required, and we have all the multiple parameters that we really don't need right now. You can see that all of them are not required. That is because some parameters are replaceable. You can, for example, use a body HTML or a pre-formatted template that we created on our dashboard and just send a template ID with the email send request. So we didn't feel like forcing you to use one of these things, so we made all of them optional, and you just have to know which are actually required. So, subject, from, to, a body, everything that creates an email. Well, just wait, we will show you everything right here, right now. All right, we are not going to use the copy link that Bartek mentioned previously, because it's going to copy all the parameters. So just switch to our empty file here, and we are going to write some PHP code. We chose PHP as we found out that our users are mostly using PHP. So we thought that it's the best language to use in this tutorial. We hope you're not mad, you're not angry. All right, so we will start with a variable that is going to store our API URL. HTTPS, that is api.elasticemail.com/v2, and then, just like Bartek showed you, a category. So via our documentation is going to be an email. So write it down here, another slash, and a method type. This is going to be a send. So just write it down, send. And that's the whole target URL. When you want to use another methods from our documentation, just switch those two with anything you want.
And it will work like every time.
Yes. Then we are going to store our API key in a variable just because it's faster that way for this example, but please don't do it in your own code because it's really vulnerable and you can hurt yourself with this.
Yes, you remember that with great power comes great responsibility and stuff like that. Thank you, Uncle Ben.
You had to. All right.
Yes, I have to.
Back to the serious stuff. So let's fill it with in a try-catch. If something really unexpected happens, we would like to know about it. Not entirely connected to our API, but you never know. Maybe a connection, maybe your internet will fail. This will be shown here. Anything that our API returns and is created by ourselves, that is some kind of error that we discovered, like incorrect API key, will be stored in a result of a request you are going to send to us. So it should be stored right here in the try block, and you just have to check the success field and then do the needful. All right, so let's create a variable that's going to store all of our parameters. It's going to be a simple array. It's type of key value pairs.
Both our requests and responses are key value pairs, so
yes.
You'll just have to read them and write them.
Exactly.
It's actually really easy to read them as a JSON. So, but let's focus on the main topic. So we always need some basic information: who is sending, to whom, and what. Those three things are the meat of the email. So we'll start with what?
With from.
Okay, so who is sending? We are sending.
Yes. So we start with a from parameter that is an email. So just use our own for the testing purposes.
And for those of you that appeared in last 5 minutes, hi, you are in the middle of something great. You'll see how an email appears from nothing. It's a kind of godlike creation.
Yeah, I remember the first time I was always using the Gmail inbox, just simply put everything on the website and it pop up. But right now, when I joined Elastic Email, I send my email through the code. That was like really good feeling. All right, back to the parameters. All right, we got who is sending.
and then to.
So to whom are we going to send this? You might notice that I used the message _to parameter instead of a to parameter. We have both in our documentation, but to be fair, the to parameter is just here for the backward compatibility, as we prefer that you would use any parameter that has an option of message _ something. We can have like message underscore CC or to or from. You will hear about more.
Not now.
Just not now.
We'll keep it simple.
Make our lives easier and just please use the message slash underscore family. Okay, so we're going to send to ourselves. And well, what are we going to send? Well, it has to contain something, doesn't it?
Yes, we need two things here. It's the subject and the body of the message. So let's start with subject.
Yes, because it's a bit simpler.
And as we are doing the developers tutorial, hello world is a must.
So obvious.
And for the body, we'll stick to the basics. So the basic type of body is the text body without any formatting, just plain text. So it's the body text. Let's use it.
You also might have noticed that I am using a body underscore text, and in our documentation there is a body HTML, body text. Well, that's just because I'm used to it, but both are legit, as I would say.
So you can use underscores or camel case, whatever you like. And of course, we need a way to tell our servers that we are legit senders. So we need our API key.
Of course. We're just going to use our variable, and that's all. What do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Only 5 parameters, and when we are done, we will send an email.
But we will have to send it because at this moment we just have an array, so we need something to send it, and we'll use Curl for that.
Exactly. We found out that Curl is the simplest one to choose for our customers, as it is really easy to set it up and it's easier to debug. So if you're going to have any issues and you won't be able to fix it by yourselves, you can go to our support and it will be easier for us to help you thanks to this, thanks to you using the Curl.
Okay. So thank you in advance.
Yes. Our support thanks you.
So there are also some parameters needed here. Of course, we want to send it somewhere, and that's our target URL.
Then it is, we are notifying Curl what is the source of our parameters for this request. In a moment. Right now I said that we want to use the post method.
We are using post for email, for sending emails, because usually you'll send much more data than you'll see right now. Each email contains often a lot of HTML, some additional data like images, and it just wouldn't fit in a GET request, so post is a must.
Yes.
And we have also, in the meantime, Peter added information about what we'll be sending in the curl options post fields, and information about sending, like return transfer and verify peer. And we had 5 parameters, we have 5 options, and that's it. We'll have to just prepare it and fire it.
Exactly. So here's the very strong line of code. With this single line, we are executing our curl object. We are, exactly as it said, we are sending a request to our API, and it retrieves it and hopefully sends an email.
Okay, so let's close the connection,
as we don't really need it right now.
And for the sake of today's tutorial, we want to see the results because we'll be using them right now. You can store them and use them in your application, but right now we want to show you something. So it's saved, and yes, I think we can execute it. That's why we needed localhost with Apache, because there is some PHP we want to fire right now.
Yes, this is our file that we wrote, index.php. So we're just going to execute it with enter. And here we have it.
So success true, and then two information: transaction ID and message ID. Those two items contain the information about the batch email. It's a transaction ID. So if there would be more than one email, you'll get information from transaction ID. And for one single email, you'll get information from message ID. So I think we can stick to the message ID for now and check the email status. Why? Because you should always check if the message you are sending hit the inbox or bounced or whatever else happened to that. Because basically you usually want to know that. Only spammers do fire and forget. Don't be a spammer.
All right. So we are going to retrieve the status of our emails. So we are certainly going to select an email and a status method. Status is used for a single recipient that is going to use a message ID. If you like to use a transaction ID for multiple recipients, you go to the get status. We will cover that soon.
So here we have just two parameters. It's the API key and message ID, both required. So we can just copy the example and switch the data.
Exactly.
In the meantime, I'm seeing that Chris has a question about Ruby. We'll answer it later. But thank you for the question. Okay, so we have a API key and message ID.
Replace it with our own. Copy that, serve, and execute.
Again, success true. We are very successful today. And what do we have here? For the message we were sending, we have information about the sender, the recipient, the status, a lot of different information. And for one email, this is quite detailed. You would be more interested probably, well, sorry, for you who are sending one email at a time, this is enough. If you are sending just transaction confirmations, that's okay. But what if somebody wants to send more email at once? Well, we will be upgrading our PHP file from the simple one to still a simple one, but a bit better, because we have just bare bones here, and we want to add some meat to our email. For example, HTML and maybe more than one recipient. And I think we can start doing that.
Yes. Just before we do that, because we want to compare something later, you can see that our email got in the inbox.
Oh yes, totally forgot about checking that. As I said, as I've seen the status, so I was like, okay, email appeared. But what do we have here? We have a title. We have our both sender and recipient, and information. The content is the hello world, and it appears. Then there are legal information, because those are crucial in your sending. You shouldn't be sending an email without that. And lastly, there is an unsubscribe link. This is also super important, because you have to allow people to just resign from getting emails from you. It's a body as a plain text, so it's not really pretty, but right now we'll do some magic with that.
All right. So, as Bartek said, we want to beautify this image, this email, of course. Let's start with some other options right now, like message from instead of a simple from. As I said, the message underscore family is always better.
We'll be still sending from ourselves.
Yes. Maybe we would also like to introduce ourselves, so let's use the message from name.
So this is the text user would be seeing in their inbox. Instead of just email address, they'll get, for example, Peter from Elastic Email.
Yes.
Great. And reply to, yes. Because you have, you probably have seen the emails when you are replying to other email address that's sent email from you. It's usually a reply at blah, blah, blah. We'll reply to ourselves, but we'll change the name. So it would be Bart from Elastic Email, I think.
Yes.
And we have a body, we have subject. Let's change the subject so the emails won't mix.
Of course.
So, hello world, advanced. Okay. And let's add some body HTML. Because whenever there would be a possibility to see the HTML will be shown. And then if there is no such possibility, it would be plain text. So let's also do hello world, but in a headers.
Oh, good idea. All right, so we've added some optional parameters that will make your email look better and be more advanced, like with the reply to email that doesn't default to your own account's email. Right now it does because we wrote it, but you can change that. And yeah, that will change our email quite a bit.
I will add something more here, because we are just sending again to one email address. You can send to a list, a segment, or the CSV file that you upload, or just a list of emails that you provided a message to. So I would add two email addresses here, one with plus addressing, so it will land in the same mailbox, and one with something that will bounce, something with a typo in it. Add some typo. Oh.
Yes, you might not see it, but we are separating these emails with a semicolon, and it will work.
So please save it,
We are ready.
We will show you the magic.
Yes. All right. Ready? I am certainly not. As you might see, I've misplaced the tabs. All right. Here we go.
Again, success true. And we have only a transaction ID right now because as I told you previously, we are sending a batch of emails, so the transaction is an identifier. So we'll use another API request to check the transaction status.
Yes, it's going to be get status, as I mentioned previously. As always, it requires an API key, multiple optional parameters, and a transaction ID.
So let's copy it, because writing it by our own is
boring work.
Yes. We definitely want to switch the API key and the transaction ID that was provided. And other than that, we want to change some other parameters, because this request is for checking what was sent, what happened with your emails. So we basically want to show everything that was that is available. Because additional parameters, each represents a group of emails. So we will be showing information about the emails that were sent, emails that have failed, or were bounced, clicked, whatever. There's a lot of possibilities here, and this is the checking the information how your emails actually work. So we're ready.
Yes, get status. All right, here we go.
Again, success true. And data. As you might see, we have sent 3 emails, and we have 2 recipients countries 3. So 2 of them were successfully sent, and 1 was failed.
Yeah.
Even better, those 2 were sent and were also delivered at this moment. So we have also this line also here. And the one that was with a typo, there's an error information that there is no mailbox with such name. And
that is true.
Yes, that's true. So as we see it in our console, we can also see it in our inbox. Hello World Advanced. And as you may see, we have an HTML header right now with the name of the sender. Hello, Peter. Hello, world. And also we have information about legal, but it looks much better now, and a really pretty unsubscribe link. So this looks great. You might notice that recipients are shown because we have used 2, not a BCC for that. And for your emails, you should always send each email kind of separately.
Yes.
So we have sent an email, we have received an email, we've checked that it was sent even without logging into account, because you don't always have the credentials of your clients to check their inbox. But this is mostly it.
Yeah. So simple, so advanced.
There are a lot of different options to do the same stuff. As it was told previously, you can just provide a semicolon separated email addresses or a list ID from our system or a CSV file. It will work. You can add body text, body HTML. You can add your own HTML or ID of a template that you created with us. It will work. There are a lot of options here, and that's because many different users use it in various ways. And I think that's all about sending emails. So for the next tutorial, we'll be talking about integration libraries. And there will be a homework for you because we have some integration libraries with us. 5 of them at this moment, I think. And we will be talking about some really serious ways of doing stuff. So instead of just sending an email, we will be trying to help you with implementing our code and your code together. And for that, you have a homework because we will be using the stuff that is part of our system. So lists, contact lists actually, and email templates. Because you need those. You need those to send a big proper email to your customers. And I think that's all about the homework for you. Now the Q&A.
Yeah.
Because there was 2 questions right now, and one is especially for Peter because it is why not Ruby? Why not Ruby? Why PHP, not Ruby?
Well, first of all, if you're asking why not Ruby right now, like I said, it looks like PHP is the most used language for our system by our clients. If you're asking about integration library, you probably noticed that we have 5 languages and Ruby is not one of them. Well, it is planned. We are going to be implementing that. We have multiple languages in plan. So after your question, we are probably going to set it a bit higher so that it will come faster.
So all the Ruby developers here just upvote Chris for asking this question. It was a good question. And second one is that, well, somebody have seen our templates in dashboard and have seen the email we have sent a moment ago. And there was slight difference. Basically, you can send a good-looking email with a code, but it's simpler to use a template. Our dashboard provides a really good template editor, and where you can create your own template, save it, and then use it with your code to just send your email. And this is I think the best way for you, because the email will be both really pretty, and you don't have to write a lot of HTML for that, which will be also, you always have to remember that it would be, it needs to be responsive, because as far as I remember, at least 40% of your emails are opened on mobile. So you'll have to remember about that. And our editor basically does the job for you. So we strongly recommend using that.
Right.
And it's no more questions here, we will provide all links that were needed for today in the description. You'll also find, for you who are watching us from the future, there will be also a link for the code Peter was creating, so you can copy it and use it for your own sending. And what else? Thank you really much about dropping by, saying hi, and watching us. This is really great. And if you have other questions, you can write to our support. Also, you can just give them information that you have seen the webinar and you have some questions, and we will be there for you. You can also check our resources. There are a lot of codes there.
Yes.
And
these are created by me and some other developers, but I'm the boss here.
And there are also a lot of other YouTube videos, our documentation. If you're interested in getting more data or in watching next webinars, you can subscribe to our webinar list. There's also a group on Facebook, so drop by. We'll be happy to have you there.
Of course.
And of course, you can subscribe to our blog.
Yeah, subscribe to our blog, read some posts there. We've been posting for a few years now, so we have some advanced stuff that can provide a better email score for your emails, so be sure to check it out.
And all of you who are also doing some marketing, not only development, you'll also find a lot of information there. And for now, that's it for the moment. Again, I don't know if but I was kind of nervous to do that, but it was fun.
Well, we're just developers, so they force us to make it. Just send help,
And see you next time. Next time we'll be talking about our integration libraries, so stay tuned.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye.
See ya.